Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the PromoMinds podcast. I'm your host, Steve Leslie, and today we're going to be talking about quantity versus quality and what exactly that means. So stay tuned. More from the PromoMinds podcast coming up shortly. PromoMinds. Promote your brand, transform your business. Hey guys, if you're looking for a great marketing book to check out that's not typically discussed in the marketing world, I highly recommend checking out the book called Supermensch. It's the story of Shep Gordon. Now Shep, he's been the manager for Alice Cooper since before his rise to fame. He's responsible for creating the celebrity chefs that we know and love today. He's hung out with the likes of the Beatles, the Dalai Lama. He's even had the actor Mike Myers beg him to let him do a documentary about him. This guy has so many great tidbits and examples found within this book. One key concept is guilt by association, but I highly recommend checking it out for all the great advice. That's Supermensch by Shep Gordon. It's an autobiography. All right, let's get back to the show. So one of the concepts that I've brought up a lot is this notion of quantity versus quality. And I feel like there needs to be a little bit more explanation behind it. It's a concept that I first learned from Grant Cardone, and how I interpreted it was the fact that quantity means you're constantly promoting yourself. You're constantly promoting your product, service. You're constantly being out there all the time, getting known in your space. Now, the quality portion of that relates to the actual content itself, found in your words, found in your message, found in what you're sharing. The quality does not need to be in, you don't need to have the perfect phone, or you don't need to have the perfect camera or the perfect lighting, or I need to look perfectly, or I need to have, my hair done perfectly, or I need to be shaved and makeup on, whatever. That's not what we're getting at. It's what is found in your words. Now, obviously, you want to have some respectability in your presence, right? But it doesn't need to be all that great. I have made videos that look absolutely atrocious, but it was sharing information that people wanted to know and therefore got thousands of views. Really, the only thing that you want to have quality with is your audio, because if you have super bad audio, it's really hard to listen to. However, in terms of the actual look of everything, pull out your phone, selfie mode, video, post it. Don't overthink it. Don't get stuck in analysis paralysis. Don't get stuck on someday aisle. All you really want is to be able to put out content. And the easiest way to do that is to oversimplify it and say, I don't need to have all the production that all these production crews have, that all these studios have. I don't need it. What I need to do is I need to get to work. I need to spend more time in what my message is, in what I'm trying to say, and communicate that as much as possible. And the more you say that, the more it gets ingrained into your audience, and the more it gets ingrained into your own mind. So if you learn a new concept and you've been applying it and it's super valuable to you and you're trying to communicate that to others, the more you talk about it, the easier it gets to say it. And if you focus on quantity, the amount of videos and the amount of content you can produce with your message, and focus the quality aspect on what it is you're trying to say, not to, over script yourself, but maybe you spend a little bit of time writing down exactly what you're trying to say. For instance, this video, quantity versus quality. I jot down a couple points that really come to mind because I want to elaborate on it and I want to make sure that I get these details in there. I don't write out a huge manuscript of everything that I'm going to say. There's a lot of times where I stutter over words. I just stuttered over a word. Or I say something that really doesn't make sense, so I have to kind of sculpt that. Or maybe I say something one way and then discover an entirely new way of saying it. And by focusing on saying it and repeating it and trying to figure out different ways of saying it, you start to develop your message and it really starts to hone your message overall, your brand. And so one of the ways that I thought about this was as it relates to music. Now, quantity over quality, the concept that Grant Cardone talks about is that best known beats best every single time. How many people have heard of a band called AC/DC? Now, one of the guitarists, the lead guitarist, Angus Young, is seen as one of the greatest guitar players of all time. But as a musician, as a guitar player, when you look at the majority of the songs, what are they playing? A chord, D chord, C chord, G chord, E chord, right? Like the basic chords in so many different songs, just strum a different way or put in a different tempo or whatever. There's so many of their songs that really use the same chords or a lot of very similar chords. Now, when you look at a band like Alter Bridge, there's not a lot of people who know of Alter Bridge. Alter Bridge is essentially what Creed became. It doesn't have Scott Stapp, it has Miles Kennedy. And personally, I think that Mark Tremonti is a very underrated guitar player because he comes up with all these wicked riffs. And I'm not talking about like I'm not talking about all the different, you look at, and I'm not talking about all these different metal bands who, their guitarist can shred it like no other. Great. But he comes up with all these different really cool rhythms and all these different styles and kind of a whole different sound. And one song doesn't sound exactly like another song and whatnot, but the emotion found in his solos as well is absolutely phenomenal. I think he's one of the best guitarists of our time. And yet, he's not viewed in that category. And the reason that Angus Young is viewed as one of the best guitarists to ever walk the face of the earth, and Mark Tremonti is almost like a cult favorite in certain circumstances, is the fact that best known beats best every time. And that was really what I'm trying to say with the quality and quantity statement. Quantity over quality. The more you get out there, the more you have an opportunity for other people to discover you and to learn about you. And you share your message again and again and again. Look at politicians. Politicians are gaslighting people all over the place, regardless of what party you're with. They gaslight people. That's a known fact. That's not really a fact, right? What will they do? You can see something happen. You can call it out. And what happens is they just say their own message enough times till you're like wanting to just smash your head against a wall, and it just ingrains it in people. That's what's meant by quantity over quality. So anyways, I hope this has been of value to you. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the PromoMinds podcast. I'm your host, Steve Leslie, and until next time, take care. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of PromoMinds podcast. I'm Steve Leslie, and if you want help crafting your message or sharing your story, feel free to reach out. I'd love to help. Love coming up with ideas, and we can have a nice chat. So reach out to PromoMinds@gmail.com and I'll respond. Take care.